Hey everyone, this is Christopher Luxon, the former CEO of Air New Zealand.
This is John Lee Dumas, the founder and host of Entrepreneurs on Fire.
This is Tracy Ibarra. I'm in Executive Solutions at Dell Technologies.
This is Travis Chappell, founder of Build Your Network. If you are wanting to learn how to embrace change,
To navigate through disruption as a leader,
Then listen to the Leadership is Changing podcast.
The Leadership is Changing podcast.
the Leadership is Changing podcast with my good friend,
my very good friend, Denis Giannoutsos.
Welcome to Leadership is Changing. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change. This is taking your leadership to another level by finding the balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing with your host, Denis Giannoutsos.
Hey, welcome to the show, Leadership is Changing. What we as leaders know to be true is that change is constant. Leaders everywhere confront similar obstacles because people are people, but everywhere you go, leaders are overwhelmed, disrupted, and under pressure. They run from email to email, meeting to meeting. Many leaders are not changing quick enough, which means they run the risk of becoming irrelevant and being left behind. The purpose of the show is taking our listeners' leadership to another level by finding their balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. I believe we don't have enough effective leaders in the world today, and if we can get the leaders to step up and lead change, then they can inspire real change. Hey listeners, it's now time to adapt in our fast-moving world, and I want to welcome you to today's Ask Denis episode, which is a freestyle episode. I'm asked a question by our listeners, where I share my thoughts, insight, and experiences from working with leaders around the globe. Hey listeners, if you haven't already checked out the Facebook group, Leadership is Changing, go ahead and do that. And we look forward to seeing you there. A great group of people there who are talking about leadership, change, and leading change, and especially in this disruptive world that we are in today. Hey, the other thing too is that if you're looking to get together with me for a 30-minute complimentary strategy session just to look at your goals, feel free to reach out and do so. Feel free to reach out and send me a private message, and I'm more than happy to catch up and do that for sure. All right, let's get underway with today's episode. So you have to be ready to go. And what an interesting topic this is. And so, you know, a lot of you have already set your goals and some of you haven't for the year. So we're going to be talking about that today. So you have to be ready to go. Well, if you're not ready to go, then you're not going to go. And you could go somewhere, but you're going to be a little bit lost. You sort of don't have any direction or any plan on where you're wanting to go. And so it becomes a little bit like a rudderless boat. So it could go around and around in circles quite a bit. So it's really interesting to make sure that you do know where you're going and that you're ready to go. So today, let's talk about a few of these things here. So for some of you, you may have already set your goals. And if you haven't, then I'm going to encourage you to check out episode 87, 88, and 89. 87 is how to set up your year for success. 88 is how high performers have a massive year. And 89 is, have you said goodbye to your New Year resolutions yet? And so 3 great episodes for you to have a listen to if you haven't already set your goals. If you have set your goals but you haven't heard those episodes, I encourage you to go and listen to those episodes as well. For those of you who have set your goal, here's an interesting question or questions to ask yourself in relation to your goals. Number 1, do I have the right goals? That's an interesting question. So for some of us, we think we have this as the goal, but you know what? What I say to a lot of my clients, and I do myself, is I set goals, but then I leave them alone for a day, 2 days, 3 days, and come back to them and just allow it to mature in my thinking, to mature in the way that it's actually been written, and is it the right goal, is the question I'm asking. There's another question I'm going to ask you as well, which is there a goal that you've missed out? Now, that's a really interesting way of actually putting it. I've been working with a vice president of a marketing area for an organization. It's a global organization. And this person is looking to take another role and had 2 options on the table in front of them. So we talked through those different options. Then I asked that person towards the end of the conversation, is there a third role? And they sat there stunned. What do you mean, is there a third goal? And they hadn't even thought about whether there was, a third role for them. So we get off the call, and literally 1 hour later, they have another meeting with somebody, and the third role comes in front of them. And they couldn't believe it. Went back, did another coaching session with them, and even the fourth role came out in front of them as well. So I'm always going to ask you two questions. Do you have the right goals? And number two, is there a goal that may be missing? Because you see, we don't always think about certain things. We may think about a certain goal, but there may be something out left field. There may be something that we're not even thinking about or is not even in our scope right now that we're not sure about. So there's the question for you. Is there a goal that you've missed and that should be there? So having a goal is great. And what I'm going to ask you to do or think about is that if you have set some goals, what are some quick wins that you can put in place? What can you do today, tomorrow, next week, next month to help you get some quick wins on the scoreboard, some quick runs? Instant activity is really going to help you do that. And so, you have beautiful goals and you can frame them and look at them and think, oh, they're wonderful. But until you bring them to life, until you do something and get some activity, nothing's going to happen. But are there some quick wins that you can put in place? So then you can celebrate some quick wins. You can feel great about doing it, and you're seeing some activity and action and results starting to happen. So you've got your goals. Where to now? So the thing here is this. Do you keep your goals in front of you all the time? I'm going to encourage you to do that. Now, there could be different ways that you can do this. One is you could have it on your phone. Another way you could have it is on different pieces of paper around the house, in the office, on your screensaver. There's all sorts of different places. I've worked with people who had them in behind their sun visor in their car. Every morning they hopped into their car, they'd turn it down, they'll read their goals. If it was sitting at the lights, they might put their sun visor down, have a quick read. Coming home, put them down before they jump down the car, read them all the time. Some people do that. You've got to do what's ever right for you. What's the right thing for you, and to do it in a notebook, on your phone, in the bedroom, in the mirror. There's all sorts of places you can do that. So make sure that you do have your goals in front of you all the time. The other thing I want to talk to you about is action. And as I talked about it before with the quick wins, instant activity is really important. But action is what's needed now. So you have the goals. It's the plan that you need to pull together now. And then it's the doing, the execution, bringing it to life, making it happen. That's the thing that's going to be really important for you right now. This is most people's Achilles heel or downfall, is that they set beautiful goals. They want to do certain things, but they don't do something about it. And I'm a prime example. Yep, over a year ago now, I wanted to launch a podcast. That's right, the one you're listening to right now. And I didn't launch it because there were some certain things that I was working with somebody who was helping me with it, and I decided just to delay a little bit longer. Then life got busy and never happened. But then there was this thing called the pandemic, and then we were into lockdown situations. So it got very quiet work-wise, very quiet in the sense of having 15 events cancelled, a whole lot of other stuff being cancelled. So I had time up my sleeve. So what did I do with that? Well, I could have sat there and watched the TV and watched all the news and got really up and, doom and gloom and really upset about everything. But I decided to get on with it and make things happen. It was downtime, but let's make it productive. Yes, I was worried about the ambiguity and the chaos and where we're going next, the unknown, just like everyone else. But then I had to be there to help other people get through it, help them with their thinking and their mindsets and helping them change things. But then I also wanted to do something around the podcast. And I made a decision to launch the podcast. Then a piece of work just came in that I had to delay the actual launch for 2 weeks. But when I turned around and told the team that were helping me about it, that I wanted to launch, they could not believe the speed that I wanted to move at. They said, we've never done it this fast before. And I'm like, cool, let's go. You see, I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know that that was too fast. I just wanted to get it done. See, they knew, but that was their That was their perception. That was their mindset. That was the way they're looking at things. But I wanted to go faster. So what can you do, team, to make your goals happen today? I don't mean you achieve them today, but there's certain things you can get on with today to start helping you pull that together. Yes, make sure they're in small bite sizes, that plan, because an elephant is really big, but you can't eat it all in one big bite. So that's an analogy that people talk about. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? What they're really saying is, the analogy is, if you've got a massive goal, huge, where do you go and where do you start? Because some people procrastinate, or some people get stuck, paralyzed. They don't know where to start. Start with one bite at a time. So start with one small step. Do those and get things done. That's why I'm saying before, if you get some quick wins happening, that's really going to help you with things going forward. The other thing I'm going to encourage you to do is monitor and see how things are going for you. Yes, measurements and having goals with measurements is all very nice. But you know what? You need to keep track of your progress, how things are going for you. What can you do to adjust? What can you need to do to move forward? The second thing is keep a journal or diary. Note down, what are you experiencing every day as you're working towards this goal? What have you learned? What could you have done better? All sorts of things for you to start thinking about as you look at those goals and you start to monitor. The other one would be celebrate success and milestones. If you've got some of those quick wins, celebrate them. Good on you. Well done for doing it. Because when you do that, you're going to do it more. And if you've got a team around you and you celebrate their success and milestones, they're going to go the extra mile for you and the organization. Why? Because you have recognized them. Most leaders don't recognize people. Or I'm a manager and I'm just too busy. I go from email to email, meeting to meeting, and I don't have time to do the celebration stuff. Team, take time out. Stop. Think about it. Celebrate it. Because it's going to go a long way. People really appreciate it. It doesn't cost a lot of money. In fact, it doesn't even have to cost you money. Just some recognition. People love that. People would love to see that recognition for sure. Okay, so let's do a little bit of a summary here. Today we talked about you have to be ready to go with those goals, right? You have to get underway. And as a leader who's successful is somebody who does get their goals ready and underway so then they can be on their A game. So now that you've set the goals, if you haven't already listened to episodes 87, 88, and 89, really encourage you to go back and listen to those episodes. And if you haven't set your goals, I encourage you to go ahead and do those now. And then the other thing too is that if you have set your goals, ask yourself 2 questions. Do I have the right goals? And is there a goal that I've missed or should be there? The other thing too is now where to, right? So the other one would be quick wins around those goals and getting some runs on the scoreboard. Then where do you go? So what have you got? How do you keep things in front of you all the time? So having the goals in front of you and your car sun visor behind that, and the mirror in the bedroom and the bathroom, anywhere that you've got it in front of you all the time. Keep reading them, keep reviewing them. Action. That's really important. Plan, do, /execute. Make things happen. Get underway with things, team. Because that's most people's downfall, Achilles' heel. And then the other one would be monitor, journal, and measure, of course, and just monitor your actual progress, which is fantastic. Hey, team, look, for a lot of you, you are setting goals or you're starting to think about setting goals, and you may have done it but in the past. But I'll guarantee for a lot of you, you're going to, by February, March, actually give up on those goals. It's not that you don't want to do them. It comes down to the fact that you're going to get really busy. You're going to be what I call distracted. You're going to have a whole lot of brand new shiny things that you're going to go and chase, that you want to go and get, and you'll get distracted by it. Now, the thing here is that you need to have a coach around you, somebody you can engage, someone who's going to hold you accountable, support you, and challenge you in your thinking in a great way to help you move forward and achieve what you want to achieve. That coach could be me. That coach could be someone like myself who can help you. Be very wise in the way that you select your actual coach team. Because the thing here is this. There are coaches and then there are coaches. Now, what you want to do is you want to make sure you've got rapport with people. That person who's going to be your coach, do you have rapport with that person? Can they actually help you? Are they going to be the one that's going to challenge you in a constructive way, in a good way, right? So there's some things for you to think about. Now, if you are one person who would like to sit down and talk to me about what you're wanting to do, strategize for a 30-minute coaching session, feel free to reach out to me and let me know. And what we can do is we can set up a time to get together and have a chat. Because you see, the thing here is this. It is a lonely place if you're out there by yourself trying to do things. But I know that every time I've got myself a coach, every time I work with a coach, every time I sit down with a mentor, I walk away on top of the world. I walk away feeling that I know where I'm going. I walk away with more confidence, more purpose, more skipping the step. What about you? What are you going to do to help you pull your goals together? Because I know that you're probably thinking right now, there's something I love to do. And if you just made that decision, and if you just put it together and had somebody to work with you, just to help your thinking around it, think bigger, imagine where you can go. Imagine what 2021 could be for you. Team, feel free to reach out to me. Send me a message, private message on social media, and let's have a chat. Let's get together for a 30-minute chat and talk about your goals and strategize a little bit. And we can talk about how I can help you. Hey, it's always a pleasure talking to you and being with you. And so if you haven't already check out the Facebook group on Leadership is Changing. Check that out. And look forward to seeing you there. And for those of you who are on LinkedIn, there is a page that I have, Leadership is Changing page. Go to my profile, Denis Giannoutzos on LinkedIn, and check out the Leadership is Changing page on LinkedIn as well. Alrighty. What we as leaders know to be true is that change is constant. Change is incredibly scary, especially with the unknown, the unfamiliar territory. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing. Hey, listeners, look out for the episodes as they've been released. Download them, have a listen, put a review, put a rating, and also feel free to share them with your friends, your family, your network. If there's any feedback you'd like to give me, please feel free to send me an email at dennis@leadingchangepartners.com. Hey, listeners, until next time, bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Leadership is Changing with your host, Denis Giannoutzos. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change, inspiring executives and leaders to adapt and lead a bigger game in a fast-moving world.